Good morning and welcome to the Adult Education and Workforce Development statewide webinar for June 9th of 2021. I am Jerry Hafner, and joining me this morning is the Adult Education team and several special guests. As with last month's webinar, much of the information presented this morning will focus on our transition to the HiSET exam. Let's start this morning with a student success story from South Bend. It's entitled My 5-Year Journey from the TASK Program to University Undergraduate. It was written by former adult education student Christine Brooks. She said, I was homeschooled from a very early age until the end of junior high. I enjoyed with a hefty share of protesting, learning at my own pace, and even a bit differently than other public school students. I would spend afternoons learning how to write letters and book reports with my grandmother, solve math problems with my grandfather, discover history with my father, and visit the library with my mother almost weekly. The plan was not to be homeschooled forever, but to enroll in a public school by the end of junior high. Unfortunately, recessions change plans, especially when they make huge financial impacts. When it came time to figure out I was going to gain a high school that when it came time to figure out I was going not to gain a high school diploma, my strengths did not make up for my weaknesses. In the summer of 2015, after weeks of stressful online research, I found a program with the South Bend Community Schools Adult Education Program that could help me. For 6 months, 3 days a week, my grandfather drove me to and from my morning ABE preparation classes. He helped me with my take-home math sheets. He bought pizza and encouraged me in ways. Soon after talking and then passing the final TASK test, my grandfather's health began to rapidly decline. I enrolled at Ivy Tech Community College full-time to explore the opportunities college had to offer me. Unfortunately, in February 2017, my grandfather passed away from cancer. His last words to me were, make good choices. Make good choices. In May of 2018, I graduated from Ivy Tech with an associate's degree in general studies. As I walked across this second stage in my life, I dedicated my mortarboard design to his memory. But my academic journey was not yet over. Without skipping a beat, I took another big step forward and enrolled full-time at Indiana University South Bend. A couple years later, in May of 2020, I finished my degree amidst the start of a global health pandemic. In May 2021, as I was given the opportunity to walk across the third and possibly my last graduation stage, I reflected on my 5-year journey from the TASK program to university undergraduate. I also did so with another mortarboard design that reflects my determination and my promise to my grandfather to make good choices by displaying the phrase, impossible. Impossible is an opinion. A 5-year journey from task to college graduate, make good decisions, impossible is an opinion. What a wonderful story and achievement for Christine and the South Bend Adult Education Program. We would like to thank Amanda and her team for sharing this story. Now turning to youth initiatives and JAG, our colleague Brianna Morse is with us this morning with updates. Welcome, Bree.
Well, good morning, everyone. It's been probably years since I've been able to participate on the adult education call, and what a wonderful way to start the morning with a great story of student success. That is, I think what gets all of us up in the morning and just so excited to hear that. So I will not take too long this morning, but just wanted to share some good updates with everyone here. And, again, another hearty thank you to all of our wonderful partners in adult education. So you can see our actual results from the JAG program for last year. And so we have some like breaking news, I think just announced yesterday, that we have been able to surpass our graduation goal, which is really set at 90%. And for the last several years, we've achieved 96% for our JAG students. This past year, the class of 2020, so we follow them for 1 year after they graduate high school, was 97%, which again, is a historic high. We've never accomplished that before. So just very, very excited for all of our local programs and our regional folks across the state. Some other kind of information that tracks along with this comparison for last year's data. So on top of our 97% graduation rate, we also achieved 10% over for our job placement. So we hit 70% of our students went on to jobs or the military. And of those students who were in jobs, we have goals of 60% of them being full-time, and we hit 83%. So great news. I think, we always attribute that success to our partnerships through the Work One offices and those business engagement staff who are really helping connect the dots for employers and our very young workforce pipeline through our system. Some other great news is we also had 80% of our students in a positive full-time outcome. So that's those kids who are in jobs, those kids who are in post-secondary, or short-term certification, something that's education beyond high school and or the military. 80% of those were full-time for the class of 2020. And then tracking along here with the metric from last year, we had $19.5 million in scholarships, and this year we're at 21 million. And we're still counting because that deadline is not until this upcoming Friday. So some really great things happened for our JAG students, this past year, and we attribute much of that success to the wonderful, caring, committed specialists that we have in the schools. But despite the fact that it was a terribly hard year, and I know that's something everyone in adult education also experienced, good things did occur. So some really great things. But I also have for everyone a call to action. Most of our high schools just got out in the last couple of weeks, many of them ending the final week of May, which means for us in JAG, we're starting to work with that class of 2021, those kids who graduated and who didn't graduate. And this is like the most perfect time of the year in the months of June and July to get those students connecting with those local specialists, the youth directors, the JAG managers that you're aware of. And if you don't know who they are, my contact information is there and I'm happy to share it with you. But to connect with those students who didn't graduate especially and get them enrolled in adult education classes. All of that, work that you all do in your space helps us increase our graduation rate. So it's not all things that are just done in high schools alone. It's all of the, the end then. And, our partnership with adult education is kind of an end then. So you may not have been successful in a traditional high school, but we know you can be successful, in the next phase. And so again, please just, feel free to connect with your JAG specialist, your JAG managers, your youth directors in your regions to connect with those students who need that extra push across the finish line. And we will have more information on kind of where we are tracking for the month of June. So like that first grouping in the July call. So thanks, Jerry.
Well, thank you so much, Brianna. Really appreciate it. Yes, it has been a very difficult year, but we've had so many good things happen during the pandemic and so much student success. So it was just a joy to share the South Bend story this morning and hear about all your good news. So thank you so very much. As we covered in last month's webinar, and as a reminder, Indiana will transition to the HiSET exam as its HSE credential beginning on July 1st. As we have noted before, there will be a transition phase for TASC, that is our current HSE assessment, for any students who have not completed all 5 subtests. Our contract with DRC Task ends on October 15th of 2021, this fall. We would highly recommend that any students needing to take or retake any task tests be finished by the close of September, by September 30th. New HSE students will begin taking HiSET, as I said, beginning July 1. A student who has not taken one or more task tests and passed will not be able to finish the remaining exams with HiSET. You will have to start over completely with the new HiSET exam. The HiSET website on your screen has lots of helpful information, including a program manual for test center administrators. And while Indiana will no longer use TASC after October, we will continue to utilize TABE 11 and 12 and TABE Class E, which are DRC products, as Indiana's approved assessments. Joining us this morning is the HiSET team to explain more. And on the next slide here, you have more contact information, including Adam, who has ties to South Bend, and particularly the South Bend story. Adam, I did for you because of your relatives who are in the South Bend area, and I knew that you would appreciate not only hearing the good work that Christine did, but hearing about our program in South Bend. So Tanya, welcome, and welcome the HiSET team.
Hi, Jerry. Hopefully everyone can see me. There we are. Hi, everyone, and good morning. I just am so proud and happy to hear those success stories and the success that you've had over the past year or more. It's just so inspirational, and we're so proud to be part of that story. So just a couple of notes for those of you who are joining today. We know you are so anxious to get started onboarding as a test center and getting more information about our adult ed preparation materials and everything HiSET, and you've been doing such a great job asking questions and attending webinars. So thank you for your enthusiasm and also for everything that you're already learning about the HiSET exam. So we have had a little bit of an unexpected delay finalizing some language on our test center MOU, but I believe that is in motion now. So if you have not received your test center MOU or any contact regarding getting you onboarded as a test center, you should expect that soon now that we have all of those wrinkles worked out. So if you have been contacted and you started that process, you should expect a follow-up email or contact with the test center MOU. If you have not been contacted yet, and I know a few of you we've had some back and forth conversations with, we should also be getting an updated outreach list for the test centers that are already existing test centers. So if you haven't been contacted yet, you should expect that soon too. We also know that a few of you will be closed over some weeks during June. No worries there. We know testing is going to start in July, but if for some reason you are closed and you won't have an opportunity to either finish the documentation to become a test center or to complete the training required for some of your staff, we will just get you started when you come back into the office, and it should be really right on time. So no worries about any delays that are coming up. We'll get you onboarded as soon as we can. I think that will cover it for now. Jerry, I'm happy to answer any questions either that you are getting or that anyone else has.
Sure. Why doesn't Adam come on, since Adam, you're part of the team, a HiSET team, and I know you're the one who has some ties to South Bend, and you might want to explain to everyone listening in what those ties are and how you have a relationship with the state of Indiana.
Wonderful, Jerry. It's my sincere pleasure to be with you and everyone here in Indiana. I put in the chat box impressive statistics for the state of Indiana. I work nationally with every state, and it's really a wonderful story. Jerry, you brought tears to our eyes. Tanya and Adriana and I are seriously overwhelmed. So my connection On Friday, I celebrate my 27th wedding anniversary to a woman I met 42 years ago in 1979 when we were both underclassmen at Grinnell College in Iowa. And my wife hails from South Bend, Indiana. And my mother-in-law and family are all in South Bend, Indiana. I've spent quite a bit of time not only in South Bend, but actually in the central and southern part of the state, in and around Indianapolis and out in the countryside there. Jerry does know this. And I know that especially the South Bend area, every wedding is a Polish wedding. So I've had polkas and kielbasa. But I also know that the southern part of the state has its own flavor and personality. And it's not just about that race that happens once in a while. It's about the culture of the southern part of the state and the central part of the state. I'm really excited to be working with Indiana. I've had a chance to talk with many of you personally, and I look forward to reaching out to each of you as need be. Our contact information is there, as Tanya explained. We are eager to be launching in Indiana, and we're going to do everything we can to make this a Polish wedding. So pass the kielbasa and let's start the polka music. Cue up. Back to you, Jerry.
Thanks so much, Adam and Tanya. Matt, are there any questions while we have Adam and Tanya on this morning?
No, not at this time, Jerry. Does anyone have questions for them? We'll take them now. Usually we do questions at the end, but you know, you guys are special. Nothing's coming in.
Okay.
They don't have any questions. They don't want to know anything from HiSET.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Tanya and Adam, for your great support and making this transition as seamless as possible. So thank you. We're just enthused to have HiSET on board. So thank you.
Look at that. We got one. When will we have access to the e-learning modules?
So I'll take that one, Jerry, if you don't mind. So we are reaching out. We're in the process of reaching out to test centers. When you do get that outreach from our test administrative services staff, they will ask you for staff information. So people who will have access to our test materials. Those are the ones that will take the e-learning. They will actually receive the login information for e-learning. Once they're able to complete e-learning for computer and or paper, there's two separate sets of modules, then they will begin to have access to the HiSET platforms. So it's coming, I promise.
All right, we got one more. Will the HiSET test accept HIP vouchers, and when will those forms be available?
The vouchers, yes. So we have been working with two organizations in Indiana, so they will have vouchers available. Now, if you have existing task vouchers, I'm actually going to have to follow up with them to see how that's going to work. So if you already have a contact there, you might want to go ahead and proactively reach out to them, and I'll also follow up on my side. That's a great question.
That's it.
Okay.
Seriously.
Okay, very good. Well, thank you again, Tanya.
Oh wait, no, there's another one. They just keep bringing them in. Just when I think they're done. When will teachers be able to register?
Oh, I'm not quite sure how to answer that question exactly. If whoever that is could send me an email directly, Adam or I could follow up with that person. I want to make sure we answer that with the right perspective on it.
So when will the testers be able to register testers?
Okay. Oh, okay. So that's a question I understand. So as soon as we can get the test centers onboarded, so as soon as even one test center is onboarded and completed with all their documentation and onboarding processes, then we will be able to start registration. So it's coming. It's coming.
Okay. And then do you have contact info for the HIP staff to get vouchers?
Oh, whoever can follow, if you can follow up with me, I don't know if you can share my email address or even if someone has caught Adam's email address. My email address is thaug@ets.org. If you could follow up with me, I can get that for you. But I believe it's on the Indiana webpage, the DWD webpage.
Yeah, and then you can just email Megan too, and she can get Megan can take care of a lot of that in between stuff for you, Tanya.
That's great.
Here's another one. I am a current test center, but have not been contacted. Should I contact someone or just wait?
I would suggest that you give us about a week. You may be on the follow-up list, outreach list that we're getting an update for. So if for some reason you don't hear from us in about a week, then feel free to reach out to either myself or Adam or Megan, and we'll make sure and get you.
All right. And then the last one that I see so far is I applied to become a test center. Will someone from ETS contact me about the steps to fulfill?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Okay. Anybody else got anything else before we let them go? Going once, going twice. We'll pick the rest of them up at the end.
Great.
Thanks, Jerry. Thanks, you guys.
Okay.
And
Thanks,
thank
everyone.
you so much. And in addition to the end and any further questions, I will ask Tanya and Adam and her team if it's possible to join us in July for our statewide webinar as we begin to officially, as I said, July 1 launch HiSET. So that invitation will be coming to Adam and Tanya and her team. Well, thank you so much. Megan has some additional work. Not a problem. As I was saying, Megan is here this morning to share some additional words about the transition. Good morning, Megan.
Good morning, Jerry. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for your words, Jerry. Yes, I just got a few updates for you for the high school equivalency testing centers. As Tanya and them has said before, they will be emailing up with a follow-up list next week. If you are already a test center for TASC, you automatically are a test center for HiSET. So if you are not a test center at all and you want to be, you will need to reach out to me and I will reach out to the director that is in your area already and try to see if we can't make you a testing center and see what we can do to help you. You really want to become one, so just email me. The other question within the about the TASC voucher. There is a TASC voucher with Anthem, and there is a number that I can give you. The numbers also on our website, so you can email me. They are in the process of trying to get one together with HiSET, as Tanya had mentioned. But the TASC one is going to be remaining until the end of the term, which is going to be September 30th or thereabouts. The other thing I would like to mention is a lot of people are not for sure regarding the voucher. When you call Anthem, you will have to say you want the extra benefit, and they should know what that is. And they will actually take out the word should. They will know what that is. And you will you'll apply, ask for the voucher, and they will give it to you within the next 10 business days is what I was told. So if you are needing that number, you can email me. It's also on our website, but I will give it to you and just make for sure that whoever is needing the voucher asks for the extra benefit. And again, if you are already a test center for HiSET or for TASC, you are automatically enrolled in for the HiSET. That is really all I have for you this morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Megan. A lot of change, but good change coming our way. Well, let's switch gears and some more change. Here is Roy, and Roy is here this morning with some additional information, which he's shared in the past, but he has some new information about the new NRS performance measures. Hi, Roy, welcome.
Good morning. Thank you, Jerry. Yes, next slide already. Thank you, Brent. So first, all providers, please check your IET WEI data. Your AEC sent out IET and WEI reports this week. Please verify all of your IET and WEI courses are accounted for. I was able to catch one for Blue River and I sent it in to get marked. Brent has been working double duties, but we will get them marked. Let us know if one of your courses is missing. If you did not receive a confirmation number after submitting your application package, please check your emails. I may have asked for more information. And finally, please be sure to update your certifications and enters as well. Next slide. The new applications for IETs and WEIs have been sent out. You can now start applying for IETs and WEIs for the upcoming fiscal year. As always, there will be no rollovers. If you want to run an IET or WEI for the 2021 year, you will have to submit a new application package. Please use the new application materials when applying. I want to thank all the AECs and state staff for their assistance interpreting the new measurable skill gains and developing the application materials. I also want to thank all of the providers for their feedback. This was a team effort and we could not have done it without getting feedback from all the stakeholders. Rob, Nikki, Rachel, Amanda, Connie, Christy, and the PDFs and everyone else, thank you. Next slide. The information you received from Donna and your AECs included several documents. In the IET WEI definition document, we define IETs and WEIs and the process for submitting new applications. Please pay particular attention to the naming convention for your courses and enters. Yes, I will be a stickler for that. In the measurable skill gain guidance, we lay out what the new MSGs are and when they will be applicable. You should be familiar with the IET WEI application and the IET curriculum template. We have added a WEI curriculum for the WEIs who are taking advantage of the progress milestone measurable skill gain. More about this later. Next slide. A couple of things I would like to point out about the definition and process document. Again, please follow the naming convention. When you are thinking of creating an IET, you will always want to start with the needs of your community. You can also look at the DWD's list of promoted industry certifications. The website is listed here. That is one place you can look to see if a certification you may want to offer will be acceptable as an IET. There are some certs that are not allowable as standalone IETs. For example, if you want to do an IET with OSHA 30 certification, we would not approve that. Most of you are already familiar with ServSafe and OSHA 10. Microsoft Word and Outlook alone or as a pair would not be accepted as an IET. That is not to say that these may not be useful for your students. However, they would have to be combined with Excel if you wanted to run it as an IET. If you look at the promoted industry certifications, you will see this echoed there as well. Next slide. On the IET WEI application, most of the questions are the same. This needs to be filled out for any IET WEI or IET WEI combination course. The most significant change to this Excel file is the WEI MSG tab. Next slide. This is where you describe the type of MSG you will be utilizing for your WEI. Here you indicate post-secondary, skills progression, or progress milestone MSG. You will describe the MSG and most importantly, how it will be documented. Next slide. Let's review the new measurable skill gains. If you take a look at the IET WEI MSG guidance, it will describe each of the skill gains and when they can be used. Next slide. For your program to achieve the post-secondary or transcript report card, post-secondary transcript or report card MSG, the adult education provider would have to document their student has remained in good academic standing and has taken the required amount of credit hours. This would be done with a report card or transcript. Students would have to do 12 credit hours per semester for a full-time student. Part-time students would need to do 12 credit hours in total over a 12-month period. Programs will have to indicate they intend to use this MSG in their WEI application package. Next slide. Okay. The skills progression MSG is equivalent to a student achieving an industry recognized certification. This MSG will automatically be counted when programs recorded and enters that a student certification has been achieved for IET students. To achieve this MSG for WEIs, programs will need to document their student passing an employer-required knowledge-based exam. Programs will have to indicate they intend to use this MSG in their application package. This MSG will have to be negotiated and agreed upon between the adult education provider, the employer, and the WEI coordinator. Next slide. Here's an example of a WEI using skills progression as their MSG. I want to thank Jenna Lee at Marian University. They have developed a partnership with the Army Recruiter's Office, the ASVAB, The ASVAB is the employer-required exam needed for employment. Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery is developed by the Department of Defense. Marion will be providing remediation for students to pass the ASVAB, and the employer has communicated what is a passing score. The employer will be doing the recruitment for the course, allow Marion to use some of their space, and they have essentially guaranteed employment for all of their students. Marion will have to document each student passing the ASVAB for their skills progression. Next slide. Progress milestone. This MSG will only be counted for WEI courses. For programs to achieve the progress milestone MSG, programs will first have to indicate they intend to use this MSG in their WEI application package. This MSG will have to be negotiated and agreed upon between the adult education provider, the employer, and the WEI coordinator. Documentation for this MSG will vary depending upon what is agreed upon. In the application package, programs will have to include a description of the progress milestone and why it is critical to student success. For WEI courses that intend to include the progress milestone MSG, they will have to include a course curriculum. The curriculum will have to demonstrate how the adult education activities are contextualized for the occupational cluster it is training for. The progress milestone will have to be described in detail and included in the course curriculum. Next slide. So here's an example of a WEI using the progress milestone MSG. I want to thank Laura, Amy, and Anita from Laura. So they have a partnership with Cook Biotech. This is also a SEAL program, State Earn to Learn. Cook will allow students to be employed while they are working on their HSCD. They will get a raise when they get their HSCD, get college credits, and Cook will pay for college courses at Ivy Tech once they finish the WEI course. Laura will provide HSCD remediation, OSHA 30, and Microsoft Word and Outlook certifications. The combination of HSCD, OSHA 30, and the Microsoft certifications serve as a progress milestone because once they are achieved, the WEI students will get a raise, get college credits, and Cook will pay for college courses at Ivy Tech. OSHA 30 and the Microsoft credentials are critical for the employer, but they would not qualify for an IET. The Progress Milestone MSG allows the adult ed program to provide critical services to the employer and still get gains on their table 4. Next slide, please. So now let's talk about what you will need to fill out when applying for your IET or WEI course. If you are doing the IET or IET WEI combination course, you will need to fill out the application and the IET curriculum. You will get the skill gain automatically when you enter in the certification into Enters. Use this to your advantage. I was talking with Barbara from HEA, and she made a good point. What if a student doesn't pass a certification test? Well, you may want to post-test them to get the gain. Then you can take your time to prepare the student for the certification retest. This may be helpful if your IET ends in December and you are worried about mid-year incentives. You can get the post-test gain while you are preparing the student and protect your table 4. So if you are doing the traditional WEI, meaning you will get your gains by post-testing or HSCD attainment, you will just need to fill out the application. Be sure to answer question 21. Most programs attach an additional document for this. And this question is where you describe the relationship between you and the employer. Now, if you're making use of any of the new measurable skill gains for your WEI, you will have to fill out the IET WEI application, including the WEI MSG tab. This is where you explain the measurable skill gain and how it will be documented. For WEIs using the skills progression measurable skill gain, you may have to include supplemental documentation about the employer required exam. In the ASVAB example, Jenny is providing descriptions of the test, what is a passing score, and what the exam evaluates. For WEIs that are using progress milestone measurable skill gain, you will have to include a WEI curriculum. It is very similar to the IET curriculum. You will include employer or workforce training, adult education activities, and you will indicate when the progress milestone will be reached. Next slide, please. Finally, this was an idea from Christy. If your program is doing several IETs or WEIs and you want to just talk with me about what you are planning, please do so. Even if you are just doing a couple, we can still set up a meeting and talk about what you are doing and documentation that may be needed. Please don't hesitate. And thank you, Jerry.
Well, thank you, Roy. Lots of good information. It's a complex process, but it's necessary to make sure that we can account appropriately for the gains if there should ever be an audit. So let's transition. Donna is with us this morning to guide us through grant continuations, budget modifications, and closeout packets as we approach the end of this program year. Welcome, Donna.
Hello, everyone. So if you have requested a formal budget modification, you should have received a confirmation by now. Please let me know if you haven't so that we can be sure that everything has gone through. As Jerry mentioned, closeouts are on their way. You should be receiving those in the next few weeks, or some of you may have already gotten them. This year, we are asking everybody to submit your finished closeout to your AEC before you submit it to the DWD finance office. The AECs will be checking that you have met your recent state fund spending plan so that before it goes through, everything has been approved. When you do get ready to send it into the finance office, copy the adult ed mailbox when you do that. The DWD finance office will be sending the closeout packets to your designated grant contact. If that changes, let me know right away so that we can be sure they have the most up-to-date information. And as always, the end of the program year is June 30th. All items purchased with PY20 funds must be received by that date, with the exception of HiSET study and readiness materials for next year. We want to enable you to have those items at the start of the program year, July 1. Another reminder too about your reimbursements. Please be sure that you send the reimbursements to the adult ed mailbox, because we have a new system in place and the reimbursements manager will only have access to those that come into that mailbox. So don't send them to me anymore. Send them directly to adulted@dwd.in.gov. As always, I will email you my notes to the providers and our fiscal contacts. Now we will turn to professional development, and we have Dan and Nancy this morning with updates. Welcome, Dan and Nancy.
Thank you, Donna. Dan and I received the reflections reports from all the programs, and we wanted to thank everyone. We felt like they were pretty wonderful. Most of them were very well written, thoughtful, and very enlightening. So what we've done is compile a lot of your comments into 5 different sections, which cover the successes you've been meeting, the challenges this past program year, the changes you're implementing, promising practices, and finally, any suggestions you have for the upcoming year for the PDF network. So, Bryn, if you'll move the slide, please. And on to the next one. We're going to start with successes first. So, Bartholomew Consolidated School Corporation said, our program is meeting or exceeding all our PD plan expectations. We are on track to exceed 67% on Table 4. We are over 70% on Table 4C. Our goal of 82 HSEs was met today. That was back in mid-May. Also, they said our goal of adding 2 WI partnerships was met with the addition of the Walmart Distribution Center, Cummins Distribution Center, and Enkey America. We are on pace to exceed our number of IET enrollments. We have had more IET students complete and achieve a certification than years past. We believe this number will increase significantly by the end of June. So that was very wonderful to hear. Okay, next screen, please. Warwick County School Corporation said, one way we have improved is by having teachers who are covering one location now teach in the same building during the day. This increases the chance for direct communication about the happenings in the night class. The other thing we have done to increase communication is institute a folder program that the teachers keep in their respective classrooms and log each time a student pre and post tests a book level. This has allowed us a one-stop shop for mapping each student's progress. Next slide. Along the same lines with communication, the Literacy Alliance said, frequent and consistent communication among staff helped us navigate through the pandemic issues. A bi-weekly all-staff meeting was implemented. Reliance on technology for virtual meetings allowed for more frequent interactions. And the plan's guidance, they're talking about the PD plan's guidance, facilitated a strong program of local PD activities. Next slide. Richmond Community Schools said smaller classes and dedicated students helped us exceed our Table 4 goal. The teachers have spent the last several years of PD time on mathematics instruction, and it showed. And Newcastle Community Schools said, we implemented study sessions for our IET students to learn study skills before their certification testing. Our certification rate of completed students went to 100%. Wow, it sounds like that also could probably go under the promising practices section too. Okay, Muncie Community Schools said, post-testing as many students as appropriate prior to breaks and holidays to get a progress check and administering task readiness tests immediately to students entering with higher TABE pretesting scores has helped us to reach our goal of 60% or more measurable skill gains on Table 4. Next slide. MSD Washington Township's Schools said, we analyzed critical control points to see where we are losing students. This year, our focus was on student orientation. Students now register for classes online from our updated website, and we contact them to set up an orientation date. If the students do not attend the orientation date, they are contacted again to reschedule orientation. So the fact that we are just going to make sure we continue to stay with each student to move them forward through the critical control points has been an important asset for Washington Township Schools. Okay, sorry, next slide. John Jay School Corporation said, instructors in our program made sure to keep students up to date as much as possible. We found that when a student is aware of where they stand as far as how they are progressing in their coursework, how close they are to being able to test, that they are more invested as they see themselves moving closer toward their goals. And to us, that's the whole point of the adult learning plan, is to have that roadmap so teachers as well as the students can see where they are and make sure that they are moving forward. Next slide. Elkhart Community Schools said, Elkhart staff consistently strives to give targeted instructions with the goal of seeing individual students reach their goals of improved academic and English language skills and certifications. The number goals in the PD plan gave us specifics to communicate as we cheerleaded teachers to keep up with their good work. I think sometimes if you do not have targets out there, whether you feel like they may be hard to meet or not, I think having the targets is very important to keep programs on track and to keep their eyes on what they need to do to make sure the students succeed. So, good comment. Fort Wayne Community Schools said, we were very successful given the challenges and barriers we have faced. Our local plan pushed us to implement strategies, engage in good conversations and brainstorming, and grow in our understanding of our student population, TABE and task testing, and statewide criteria and expectations. Again, it's back to that communication piece that has been so important. So we'll go on to the next one. Impact Institute reported that they improved in the following areas: our percentage of separation with no gain, the percentage of enrolled ABE students who have completed their high school equivalency. They expanded their distance learning for all students. They expanded their business partnerships with WEI, which we know during the pandemic has been a struggle for many programs. And they expanded their enrollments in IETs. So they saw success all the way across the board, which is great. Horizon said that they are currently sitting at 66.42%, and new data is yet to be entered. Distance learning enrollment is at 68% as of May 7th. 100% completed training, and 96.77% earned the certification. So extremely high success rates there. Wonderful to hear. Ivy Tech Bloomington said, we are on track to surpass the measurable skill gain goal of 67% by the end of program year 2020. Our distance education is 75%, and we plan to continue the Loaner Laptop program, which has allowed students to independently study outside of the class. The instructor is able to monitor their distance learning by accessing the online software programs and documenting the hours. And we all know this is definitely a benefit when you are using online software programs. It's easy to document the distance education hours. Next slide. So we have heard some really wonderful successes right there. Now we're going to talk a little bit about challenges, because we know during this pandemic year, there have definitely been some challenges for program. Benton Fountain Warren Adult Education Program reported that rural communities and counties were disproportionately affected by COVID. Each of the 3 counties served by BFW applied different and often challenging COVID oversight and reopening protocols. None of the 3 county jails nor our Benton County classroom have been allowed to reopen for face-to-face instruction. So when you couple that along with possible internet problems throughout rural communities, you can see they have definitely had a struggle this year. Okay, next slide. Vincennes University said we struggled to get our WEI applications approved this program year, but we are now much more confident of the expectations of the WEI program. We look forward to the continued development and implementation of the WEI curriculum. And as Roy has enlightened, that may get many people to start thinking about utilizing WEI with the skills progression and the training milestones. Vigo County said IET and WEI goals have been a challenge this year due to COVID restrictions. We have not been able to get into some businesses to form the partnerships needed to get new ones started. And due to some of the shutdowns during some of the weeks of our classes, we've been struggling to get some students into our IET program. Staffing has also been a challenge, as we have not had a teacher for one of our IET WEI classes until this week. So that was, think about that, that was just mid-May. River Valley Resources reported that COVID did a lot of damage to student enrollment, spirit, and health of many of their staff and instructors. We lost some instructors, but we grew as a company. We talk more often, share more information, share students so that virtually weak teachers or instructors, and by that they mean teachers with who are lacking good internet connectivity, can send students to those who have more access, have face-to-face locations, taking in anyone who wants or needs that circumstance, discussing a boot camp to get the last of the task students finished, and more. Okay. Lafayette said, outside of the ongoing pandemic and the transition to online learning, Lara has seen an abnormally high staff turnover this year. And we've also heard that from a few other programs too. This, coupled with the ongoing project of digitalizing all files and overhauling our previous standard operating procedures, has led to an environment where everyone is faced with an increased workload and a steep learning curve. However, once these structures are securely in place, assuming we have a lower staff turnover, we should see significant growth in the student achievement in the upcoming year. Next slide. Jennings County reports that strict school corporation policy that students sick needed to be out for 14 days before returning to school really affected their attendance. Also, not being able to get ABE teachers into occupational classroom due to COVID-19 pandemic was a challenge. Finally, not enough Google Chromebooks and students refusing to sign out that technology because they felt like they did not want to be responsible for it, limited some students' participation during the program year. Next slide. Heinz Career Center said not meeting our goals was caused by COVID issues and everything related to it. In addition, our enrollment suffered due to limitations on class, that is, on their size, on their location, and face-to-face availability. Lack of childcare and an increase in parents needing to remain at home with virtual children. Additionally, we had students unwilling to come in face-to-face classes, but also didn't have the ability or the resources to participate in virtual classes, even if we supplied them a Chromebook for their use. Next slide. Indiana Department of Corrections said COVID was a challenge for the IDOC this program year. There were some programs that were not able to return or run at full capacity, and this caused a large number of students not to get a high school equivalency or measurable skill gain in a timely manner. Programs are running now and should be able to make progress, but the damage has already been done. And if you think about it, IDOC really probably has one of the largest number of students as far as a program goes in the whole state. The way that education is run with IDOC has not allowed distance learning to be used at this point. Students must be attending in-person classes to receive hours due to its use in credit time approved. So that has definitely been a challenge for IDOC as well. Ivy Tech reports that the pandemic caused Cook to shut down manufacturing operations and freeze hiring starting in March 2020, impacting the start of our grant in July 2020, as Cook was required to develop new manufacturing processes incorporating COVID guidelines. So remember, Cook Medical, Ivy Tech is, their main part in the adult ed program is providing WEI services to Cook Medical. Cook Medical was only able to start hiring for the WEI program in October of 2020 and only had 3 students, one of whom had to leave Cook due to personal reasons shortly after starting. So that definitely put them behind as far as trying to reach their enrollment goals and their WEI partners. So next is Dan to talk about the last part of the PD Reflections report. Dan?
Thanks, Nancy. My tag says Jerry Hafner, but I'm obviously not Jerry Hafner. I'm at his computer. We're going to continue on to, as Nancy said, promising practices. And the first we have is Area 30. And Area 30 says, clear communication, sharing of data, cross-training on all aspects of program processes have been very successful in our program. We've also have staff that have worked together for many years now, and working together towards a common goal is an enjoyable endeavor. We plan to visit other sites and collaborate with other directors in the network to see how we can improve our program. Just this last weekend, we were able to visit a site in Bloomington. The director and the staff were amazing. They were very instrumental in helping us learn so many strategies that will benefit students we serve. Next slide. Now here from Whitewater Career Center, they say, we've had new adult education instructors added, and we also added an orientation specialist for PY20. New staff members received additional help through job shadowing experiences with highly qualified instructors and the coordinator. The staff had additional training on how to develop individualized lessons for each student in order to reach an MSG. Next slide. Here from Marion Community Schools, the most effective best practice comes from the heart. We feel the most important thing we can do is build a relationship with our students and let them know we truly care about them and their family. We try to make them feel welcome and accepted and meet them wherever they are in their educational journey. Here from Impact, giving students both TABES and readiness exams during orientation continues to allow more students to be in the Fast Track program. We do individual programming for HSE Fast Track as we do not have enough students to group into a cohort. This was from the Learn More Center. Now from Impact, they say we've had teachers who went above and beyond working non-typical hours, meeting in parks, recording videos for students to play back at their convenience, and selflessly working to give students every opportunity to excel. Now, these are some major changes programs have said they've done. Here from Blue River, they say programmatically, we altered processes throughout this school year, shifting registration day modules and protocols, class session durations, and adding more distance learning, which were the greatest functional changes we needed to meet the students where they were, and simply getting participants who could fulfill the challenges of a class in an already stressful year. From Central 9, the mostly online environment also made post-testing difficult. Teachers could not do it in the classroom as before, so we had to build a new team of online test proctors and develop a completely new system of scheduling and completing post-tests online. In many cases, we were not able to complete post-tests as quickly, and more students left the program without post-testing. This happened in spite of our best efforts to reach out to students, offer one-on-one test prep, and complete post-tests at their convenience. YMCA of Greater Indianapolis. They said creating a sense of community is important to our program. We were able to offer our students other supports such as childcare and gas cards. We also used the orientation time to really help students understand what they were signing up to do and what was expected during the program. Now we come to, I believe, with this sign here, this is Elkhart. With the transition from TASK to HiSET test, we met regularly as a team to implement the switch. This entails getting past testers and before the cutoff, and also transitioning specific students over to the HiSET test. We are working on a plan for teachers to know who needs to wait for the HiSET transition. If the same scores on the table 11 and 12 will indicate that students should be fast-tracked and best practices across the board, we have a lot to learn, but are up for the challenge. I was just passed a note. This is like in what kind of sessions here, but this is from South Bend that I just read from. Sorry, it was not Elkhart. Okay, next we have Plymouth. We plan to increase HSC and workforce readiness classes. We are partnering with a church close to the motels where the at-risk homelessness resides. We will have a presence in the support of homeless housing to be open in January of 2022. We are discussing incorporating WIN. Now, this is from Marion Community Schools at the bottom here. We are discussing incorporating WIN into all of our students' ALPs where appropriate, not just the IETs and WEIs. We're looking into financial literacy, education, and we will continue to develop our career coach position to meet program and student needs. Now we have Wayne Township Adult Education. This year we developed a liaison position to facilitate communication and provide daily support to teachers and instructional assistants. The liaisons are the first point of contact for questions regarding day-to-day teaching needs, program expectations, and staff concerns. Administration sent out weekly emails to all teachers regarding their performance and general news. This method of communication was timely and allowed teachers to adjust and improve their lessons in order to meet program expectations. Indy Reads adds, continuous improvement and enhanced online take-home materials, much more emphasis. They had much more emphasis this year than they did last year. Also, they will be starting to offer ELL classes. I'm sorry, that is Ivy Tech. We've got some of these double spaced on these pages. Indy Reads, they say, we also plan to create more opportunities for teacher collaboration within our program as well as in the larger Indianapolis community. This past fall, Wayne allowed our director of program to shadow their evening HSE bootcamp course, and it was extremely beneficial in creating and launching our own HSC Fast Track course in January. Next slide. Please back up again, Bryn. Okay, now we're going to be looking, we're moving for suggestions for the Adult Education Network. Next slide. This first comment here was, we need to resume monthly regional meetings in person where conversations can lead to increased understanding and sharing of best practices. Simply reporting out on a Zoom call is not effective, and large gaps in between meetings have left programs without needed information on key changes that occur throughout the year. This year felt very isolating from other programs. Next slide. Although a modest stipend and a DWD established PDF goals are appreciated, additional guardrails are needed to ensure that there is consistency across the state to ensure all PDFs and programs, directors, boards have a mutual understanding of the estimated number of hours, efforts, etc. Some goals proposed for the 21-22 PD plan are leadership management responsibilities that should be differentiated from that of the PDF or identified as joint goals. Another comment, having a virtual option to participate in these meetings and not requiring travel would be great to still allow involvement in the incoming year. MCAE would hope that there will be more intensive training for directors. There used to be training seminars. This should be implemented again. The MCAE director will be retiring in June 2021 due to family issues. The new director will need lots of guidance, seminars for new teachers and directors will be beneficial. The PDF network provides a collaborative team that pushes you to excel beyond where you are today. I only have praise for PDF leadership. There is a real need for increased training for new programs. The training should be clear on the steps to developing a winning and successful program when students first start, particularly concerning the difference between task tape and the use of these test results while preparing students for the HSC. I think this is vital to successful fast tracking, which is directly related to meeting performance goals and at the time it takes to do so. There cannot be an expectation that an outgoing PDF who is often leaving the program will communicate all the necessary information to the new PDF that is supposed to be shared with the teachers. So I would like to see new teacher and new PDF trainings. I appreciate the hard work that this takes to facilitate. Please continue to support directors and PDFs. All of us working together will lead to success. As a PDF, I have appreciated the virtual meeting format, allowing me more convenience in my scheduling. I also love the monthly meetings that allow me to feel more connected and less like we are trying to cram everything into an already busy meeting. I would advocate that we keep with the monthly virtual meetings in lieu of face-to-face once every so often. For me, as one who is new to the PDF role and finding my way without our past consortium, I believe it could be beneficial to offer some face-to-face or one-on-one interaction, connection, support from an individual on the DWD PD team. Before we move on, I wanted to reiterate what Nancy had said earlier. These were really incredible thoughts and reflections that were sent in by the field, and especially those looking at the PDF network. We saw that we have individuals who are really wanting to get back to face-to-face as we did in the past, those who are really appreciative of the virtual online. And we believe at the state level, looking forward, that we want to do the hybrid version where we do go back to our face-to-face, because we do know that is where we are able to really support each other, get connections, that energy that you don't necessarily get with working online. But then again, we understand that it is traveling a lot of distance. Also, we do have a lot of new PDFs in the field, and there has been a lot of change over this year, and it has been very difficult. I mean, as a former teacher, I really commiserate and understand. I'm much more personally a face-to-face person. It's been frustrating because we do have new PDFs, and just to meet someone over a monthly meeting with a bunch of people or just an email, it is very difficult. And we're hoping to start the new year to getting back to some of the things we've done before, and we'll be sending some information out. We will have a director and a PDF meeting sometime in September. We have the entire week. That's going to be National Adult Literacy Education, and we're hoping to have a meeting here, perhaps at the Government Center, to bring our directors and all of our PDFs together as we've done in the past. And so that we can actually have this face-to-face part, and also, as I said, to incorporate the hybrid learning. The state, you guys have done a wonderful job, and we have to admit that everything that's been done has been done by the state. Nancy and I at the state team, we feel like we've been more facilitators, listening to what issues you have and really connecting you with each other. Because as a state, as directors and teachers, it's more than obvious, not just by the passion, but by our data, that we have truly the best directors and educators in the country. And you are your best teachers. And as you saw, many people said that they were visiting programs, and that's where you're going to get your best PD, is mentoring each other and mentoring amongst programs. Again, if you have any additional ideas and so forth as we plan PD for the new year, please send your recommendations, comments, and to Nancy and myself, and we'll collect them and put them together. So next, I'm going to introduce Lance, who has some updates. Lance?
As a reminder, soft skills software, soft skills courseware with the WIN program has been implemented. Any new IETs that you create from now on, and especially for the coming year, will have to have the ESS curriculum embedded within that program. If you have not set up accounts yet, please do so immediately. You can contact Martha Finch Anderson. Her email address is on the screen. She can set you up with the account credentials that you need to monitor your students in the future. As a reminder again, IETs are required to have the ESS curriculum, although the WIN software, the ESS credential, is open to all students within your program if you so choose. Back to you, Jerry.
Well, thank you so much, Lance, and thank you to Nancy and Dan for providing a very thorough update on the PDF project. I've read every quarterly report, reflection report that has been submitted, and I thought they were just very, as Danny indicated, so thoughtful and so well written. You spent a lot of time doing that, and I wanted to spend this morning, while it was lengthy, to go over some of the high points with you of those reports, because they are read. We do cherish receiving those and reading through them and implementing many of the promising practices that you have implemented in your programs that we can implement across the state and quite frankly across the country. So let's look at some state data. I want to spend a few minutes going over, and it'll just be a couple slides here of where we are at as we begin to close out program year 2020. We looked at the same time a year ago, June to June, as you can see on your screen. And for this period, as everyone knows, and as we have said in previous webinars, our total enrollment is down this year. We're down by about 4,500 students from the same time a year ago. This is about a 22% decrease. However, as I've said in the previous webinars, measurable skill gains are up by nearly, look at that, by nearly 4 percentage points from the same time a year ago. HSCs are only off by about 170, again, from the same time a year ago. And the separation rate, as you can see on your screen, is 1 percentage point better than a year ago. And when we look and do some comparisons to 2 years ago, our enrollment again was down. We were down at this time about 7,000 students from the same time 2 years ago. This is about a 30% decrease. Measurable skill gains are up from program year 2018 when we compare it to program year 2020 by about 1.25 percentage points. And you can see the HSCs, our separation rate was actually 4 percentage points better 2 years ago. In comparison, what I'm trying to say is we're 4 percentage points better in 2021 than what we were 2 years ago. So great job. We will finish out the year. While our enrollment will be down, we will finish very strong with measurable skill gains, and given everything that we've been faced, we will have another strong showing with our HSCs. So Brent is here with us this morning to sort of close out our webinar. Good morning, Brent.
Good morning, Jerry. Thanks, appreciate it. Good morning, everyone. So a little update on the IET numbers that we have going on. Total enrollments so far are 2,658. Still enrolled, we have 882. Dropped, we have 213. Completions, 1,563, which is at 88%. And then for certifications, we're at 1,306, which is at 83.56%, so not too bad. So out there, keep up the great work. And before I turn it back over to Jerry, I do want to give a big shout out and a thank you to Roy, who put together all the IET and WI information. Outstanding job. Thanks, Roy. I do appreciate it. Back to you, Jerry.
Thanks so much, Bryn. And now this leads us to Matt, who I know has a lot of updates regarding inters.
Actually, I don't have that many. As you guys know, I've been asking everybody to get their table 7s in. That's going really well. Got a few outstanding programs yet, but I need you all to take a look at your individual program, table 4, because I ran it today for the state and the numbers are not adding up. Basically, there are 474 part-time teachers, and then the years of experience does not match. So just take a look at your table. Everything below local teachers, that row is only for teachers. You do not add in local counselors, paraprofessionals, admin, or anything. Even if you are a teacher, if you count yourself as an admin, you do not count for any of the teacher years of experience. Only the number of teachers that you have listed on that local teachers line for full and part-time only. There were some issues that we found with that they found in the system with saving. They've worked those bugs out. If you see anything, I've gotten a couple of questions this morning about saves. with the demographics. Basically when it was loading a student record and going through everything it needs to go through to close that student record, it was missing some processes. So if you still see any little things like that, please email that to me so that we can work on it. They tried to scrub the whole system again, but as you know, it's pretty large, and then there's so many different screens and things that it does for a student record to close. So other than that, that's all I have. They're trying to work on the new table 4 for 2021. That's not done yet. There's been some other things come up that they've had to work on that were more priority. It will get there. The table 4 2019 is still your data, and even if we have to submit with that one before the code is there, you just can't see the columns, and we'll get it done before, I'm sure, July 1. He was supposed to have it done a week ago, but other things came up and it's been out of his control. So I don't have anything else. We do have a lot of questions though to go over the end.
Okay, very good. Well, let's move on to the final portion of our webinar today, and with Jen, as you can see on your screen, Virtual Institute membership, to revisit the April 30th Virtual Institute, which was quite a success. You see the website there. Sign in with your email and password that you created. On-demand access is available for $49, and the best browser to use is Chrome. And the IAACE 2021 conference, the in-person conference, September 29th, September 30th, October 1st. Registration will open on July 7th. The call for proposals and presentations, the submissions are under review, and we're recruiting for strands. The website is down at the bottom for the call for proposals. It will be so great to be back in person at Blue Chip in Michigan City beginning September 29th. Also, IAACE award nominations is open. It closes in just a couple of months on Monday, August 9th. The award ceremony will be Friday, October 1st at the fall conference. There is the website. Please consider deserving administrators, staff members, teachers, and students. Please nominate them. It is very important to give them recognition and to recognize the good work that you're doing in your local program. So IAACE award nominations are open through Monday, August 9th. And IAACE reminders, Jen does an excellent job with the blog, recruiting blogs and newsletter articles on your news. Please submit these by June 15th to Jen at director@IAACE.com. We're looking for awesome people to talk about. And the IAACE membership benefits. You can see some of the benefits there. Jen does a tech talk. The next one is Thursday, August 5th. There is the website there. It will be at 1:30 Eastern Standard Daylight Savings Time. Please participate. I've been able to participate on some of these, and they do just an excellent job. So there is the website there for you to log into. All right, and finally, the next Adult Education and Workforce Development statewide webinar will be on July 14th at 10 a.m. We'll send out a registration link prior to the webinar in July. Please join us then. It will be hard to believe that July 4th and that we're halfway through the summer. But July 14th at 10, please join us again. So Matt, you said you had some questions.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. Okay, are you ready? Here we go. Some of this is Donna, some of this is Roy, some of this is Lance, but we'll get them all in. Are the closeout packets being emailed or mailed?
The closeout packets are going to be emailed to the contact for your program, whoever is the person that it'll either be your grant contact or your fiscal person will receive that closeout.
All right. And then Donna, could you please repeat closeout packet procedures to the AECs?
Before you submit your closeout packet to the DWD finance team, we want you to send those directly to your AECs. We want them to be able to go over them to see if you have met your state spending plan that you turned in within the past few weeks. So let them see it first, and then they'll let you know if it's okay to go ahead and submit it to the finance team.
Okay. Marilyn, you got something?
Yeah, I just want to add, this is just to assure that we spend all of our state dollars and do not return any funds this year.
Okay. Will there be written guidance for the WEI and IET addressing the changes? Roy.
Yes, that was sent out a couple weeks ago. So yeah, we sent that out.
That's from Kitty at CWI, so maybe follow up with her.
Sure.
Okay. Kitty, is that good? This is for Lance, I believe, or anyone in general. Is there a charge for WIN curriculum and course testings?
I'll go ahead and answer that since I'm here. I know Lance was having connectivity problem. The answer to that is no. The state is fully funding the curriculum as well as the credential.
Okay. And then Lance, again, can you remind us what we need to do to give the ESS certification test?
The ESS certification test, I have to get back on that, but I believe you just have to I'll get back to you on that one. I can't remember exactly what the process is for that testing, but I wanted to add to Marilyn's response. I wanted to add to Marilyn's response about the cost of the testing. The testing is free for online. The state's picking up the tab on that, but if you do the written testing, such as for jail system, then it's a $25 charge for the paper packet.
And that's from Rob. So if you want to make a note to contact Rob Moore, in particular on that ESS stuff. And then he also said we have a program subscription to the instructional modules, but how do we give the test? Did you understand the question?
I believe so. I'll get back to you on that one.
Okay.
I got to go back and review the emails on that.
Okay. And then this is more of a question. Lauren, I believe that you should be on the list. If you're not getting it, and it's coming from the DWD team, she's asking about getting contacted for these calls, I assume. I know for a fact that all directors are on that list. So you check your spam or something. It's coming from the DWD email, not any of us as a personal staff. So if you still don't see it, let me know. Have we got any other questions? Okay. Thanks all. Okay. Thanks, Jerry.
Thank you all.
Again, thanks to the ETS people. I appreciate you guys. Sorry about all the technical issues we had at first, but you know, it is what it is. We adapt and overcome. Marilyn, you got something else? Oh, you just wanted to wave bye.
Thanks all.